What's good, everybody? It's your boy Is One 456. Happy New Year's to everyone. As promised, today we're gonna be talking about Rogel Aguilera-Mederos. If you don't know who that is, he's the truck driver from Texas who caused an accident in Colorado in 2019. He was originally sentenced to 110 years. Governor of Colorado just recently, maybe yesterday, the day before, uh, granted clemency on that 110 years, and sentence decided he should do 10 years. 10 years with the possibility of parole in 5. So we're going to get into that subject. Been excited to talk about it. First, I need you to hit that like button, that subscribe button, that notification button, uh, comment. All of that counts as far as support. Um, I wanted to talk about this subject because since the minute it hit the news, it got real intense conversations in my house about it. One of the main reasons because when I was growing up, my stepfather was a truck driver. He provided for us, did a lot for us, and I wouldn't have wanted him to spend the rest of his life in jail over an accident. And again, I don't know all the variables of this case. I wasn't in the courtroom, I didn't read all the documents. So I can't speak on this like I'm an officiant. All I can do is talk about the research that I've done, the videos I've seen, the news that I've seen, and give my opinion. Hopefully, if you guys know something that I don't know, or you guys have a different opinion, please drop it in the comments. If I have to, I'll do a follow-up video addressing whatever info, or I'll look up whatever information you tell me, and maybe I'll do a follow-up. But basically, this guy was 23 years old at the time of the accident. He was 26 now. He was driving. It's unclear from the sources that I've read and the things that I've looked up whether he was driving a company truck or whether he was the owner of the truck as working as an independent contractor. That's not clear. I've seen some reports where he said his brakes gave out. But I've seen videos of the actual sentencing. When the judge gave him the 110 years, there was no mentioning of the brakes. I've checked with big media outlets. There was no mention of the brakes. It's very few people even mention the brake issue. Now, the reason why I want to know whose truck it is because if it's a company truck and the brakes are bad, the company is liable. Even though, as an operator, as a CDL owner, I'm really not too sure because I don't have a CDL myself, but I'm pretty sure you're supposed to inspect the rig before you take off in it. And I know it's hard to tell if the brakes are good off of a visual inspection, but do I know whether he did that? Do I know if the truck is his? No. So on these are the things that I want clarification of. These are the questions that I have. Like what employer culpability is there, if any? Right? Truck drivers are mandated to drive a certain amount of hours and to pull over. You can't just drive until you feel sleepy. No, there's regular laws and regulations. You put in these certain amount of hours on the road, and you're supposed to pull over, go to sleep, rest, and then get back on the road. Was he on the road longer than the allowable amount of hours by law? It's another thing we don't know. One thing we do know is that he was doing 85 miles an hour in a 45-mile-an-hour zone. Was that because the brakes went out, or was it because he was speeding and that's when he realized the brakes were out? These are questions that I have. Like I said in the brief trailer I made, I really do have questions. But One thing that I can say is, like I said, I didn't want to see a 23-year-old doing 110 years for an accident. Yes, I believe there's some type of liability on his end because I don't have a CDL, but I am certified to operate 4 different kinds of forklifts. And before I get on a forklift, I am supposed to perform a checklist. Make sure there's no oil leaks. Make sure the gears are working properly. Make sure the brakes are working properly. Make sure the forks elevate properly, tilt properly. Head to toe inspection before I sit on the forklift and do my job. And if I do sit on it and I'm driving and I realize the brakes don't feel right to me, it is my responsibility to park it and lock it out so that nobody else uses it and report it directly to my supervisor. Again, I don't have a CDL, but that's how it works with a forklift. Okay, so a lot of people didn't understand why he got 110 years. Now each state, if you've never been arrested, never done time, never been through the justice system, you probably never understand this and don't care. Each state has different laws. In the state of Colorado, if you blow trial, which what he did, he was found guilty at trial. That's called blowing trial. You have to the judge has to sentence you according to the mandatory minimum that is set for your crime. So the reason why this kid got so much time was because he had so many counts. He was found guilty on so many counts. So the first 6 counts of the indictment what he was convicted of carried 10 to 30 years or 32 years in prison. 10 to 32 years. So if the judge really was trying to fry him and thought he was an asshole and thought he was fully capable and thought he had bad intentions, he could have given him 32 years times 6 for just those 6. Instead, he gave him the minimum, the 10 years. So yeah, on the first 6 counts, he already had to do 60 years. Then the next couple of counts, the minimum was 5 years, the mandatory was 16. Again, the judge implemented the minimum on all those accounts. I believe by the time they were done, he was up to 90 years with those counts alone. And then there was more counts where you had to be given the minimum on each one. And in that state, the law is it has to be given consecutive, not concurrent. For those of you, again, that's never been through the legal system, never been arrested, never been sentenced, concurrent means you can have 3 to 6s that you're convicted of. They can give you 6 years on all of them. I mean, yeah, they give you 3 to 6 years on all these crimes that you committed. You got 3 to 6s. Concurrent means you technically only have to do 1 3 to 6. Because it's ran concurrently, you're going to just do 1 3 to 6. After 3 years, you'll see a parole board, and if you're released, you'll do 3 years, the remaining 3 years on parole. If they tell you it has to go consecutive, like the law in that state, you're going to do 3 to 6 years. After 3 years, you'll see a parole board. They have the option to let you out, or they can keep you for a full 6. Either way, when you're done with this one, you don't go home. You start the other 3 to 6. And then you start the other 3 to 6. Which means you have a possibility of doing 18 years. Unless you make parole on all 3 of those 3 to 6s before you get to a total of 18 years. So it's touchy. It was crazy. No, I don't believe the man deserved to do 110 years. But I do believe he should have did time. Because as a forklift operator, if I knock these racks down, I'm liable. As a forklift operator, if the brakes go out and I hit somebody, I'm liable. As a forklift operator, if I'm doing everything right, blowing my horn, beep, 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 and somebody walks in front of me and gets hit, I'm liable. So I can see both sides of the spectrum. Then you got some people saying, yeah, he shouldn't do no time. He did enough time. Technically, he did not do enough time. I'm going to break it down for you. Here we go. The accident happened April 25th, 2019. He was taken into custody. He was in custody until May 18th, 2019, where he made bail. Now, from the time he made bail in 2019 up until October 15th, 2021, this year, when he was convicted and taken back into custody, he was home with his family. That's a good about 2 years, maybe. About 2 years. I'm not trying to do the math right now. He was home with his family. In those 2 years, the 4 people that died in this accident are gone. Those 4 people's families have been mourning for 2 years. You understand? There's people who have suffered injuries that, unfortunately, they may be crippled or disabled for the rest of their life. Some of them are going through physical therapy now. Some of them are traumatized. I mean, there was explosions. It was a 28-car pileup. This wasn't no little fender bender. This was a serious crash. The traffic was stopped because of an accident that happened down the road, and he barreled into traffic at 85 miles an hour. And there was also a side ramp that is designed for trucks to take. It has sand on the road. Some of them have sand and some type of foam, and it's designed to help these big trucks slow down on these downhills. And this man did not take that ramp. Of course, if you're moving at 85 miles an hour, normally you slow down to take an off ramp or a curve. He couldn't do it, or he just didn't do it. We don't know. I wasn't in the truck, and again, I did not read court documents. There's also been conflicting stories on what he did after. There's one woman that says she was there, she was a part of the accident. After it happened, she got out of the car to take pictures, and in her words, he approached her and said, "Hey, can I use your phone? I need to get out of here. I'm going to jail." There's another story. There's a guy who's been dubbed the homeless hero. I guess there was a homeless man on the side of under the bridge or whatever, and he rushed into action and helped pull people out of their cars. And so he's been dubbed the homeless hero. I saw an interview with him where he said that is not true. Rogel was hurt. They helped him out of the truck and to the side where he sat down and waited for the police to come. That's what the homeless hero said. I tried to research a little bit about Rogel's past, and the only thing I could come up with was that he's Cuban and what town, he was born in Cuba, not really, did he go where he went to school? Yeah, it's supposed to be he didn't have a troubled past because he was never in trouble with the law, which is another thing, I definitely want to touch on. This man has never been in trouble with the law. He's not a gangster, not a killer. Right now, he has 4 bodies on his conscience. It's not easy to live with when you're not about that life. When you got that spirit in you that you don't want to harm anybody intentionally, it's hard to deal with something like that. Whether it's intentional, unintentional, he has to live with the fact that he caused 4 deaths. And in tears, he told the judge, "I don't know why I lived, why I survived." He showed remorse. He was remorseful. I don't think it was malicious at all, but I wasn't there. I don't have court documents. I don't know if the brakes actually failed. They don't talk about it enough on any of the outlets. I don't know if they had a professional come in, examine the brakes like they usually do in any other trial where there's supposed to be a mechanical error, and dissect it and see if there really was a mechanical error, or see if, he's lying. They don't say that he drove over the allowable hours without taking a rest. They said there was no alcohol in his system, but they did say he made several bad decisions that led up to this. But they don't outline those decisions. Again, as a CDL driver, I'm sure you went through training. I'm sure they told you what to do if your brakes do go out. He said he tried to pull over to the side of the road, but there was already a truck pulled over there. So instead of hitting the truck, he went into all these cars. Like I said, I don't know. I don't know what was going through his mind at the time. He could have been scared to death, panicking. We weren't there. We weren't in that situation. We really can't pass judgment. And that's, like I said, I got a lot of questions. So I'm hoping that some of you will comment and then let me know. Maybe you did hear something about the brakes. Maybe you do know it's a company truck. There's a lot of things to take into consideration. Did it make sense for somebody in Colorado who walked up to somebody, shot him in the head, killed them, to get less years than somebody who had a truck accident? You follow? So I'm glad that the Governor Polis, decided to step in. One thing I gotta say that I do know for sure: if it wasn't for outlets like this, Instagram, Facebook, this case wouldn't have gotten the attention it had. Kim Kardashian wouldn't have gotten involved. And, I'm not a fan of hers, but I'm glad she did. If she had anything to do with the outcome of this situation, then thank you, God bless you, whatever. There was, the same survivor that said this man tried to run away also said that he didn't blow his horn, he had no hazard lights on, he didn't do anything to attempt to avoid it. She said he could have drove his truck into the bridge, but not everybody is going to sacrifice their own life to protect others. It's just not everybody has that in them. That's a certain trait that not everybody has. Like I said, it's a touchy subject. 5 million people signed the petition to overturn this, and the governor took all that into consideration. I think he did the right thing. I think dude does deserve to serve time. Altogether, he did about 3 months so far. 3 months from the time he got bailed out to the time he's been in there now. From when they took him in, he's only done 3 months. So for the people that say he should be given time served or no time at all, nah, you definitely should do some time. As a driver, once you feel those brakes ain't what they should be, you pull the fuck over. Fuck the company you work for, you can get another job. The company you work for wasn't on trial right now, you were. So as a driver, you were supposed to pull the fuck over the minute you felt like you didn't have the brakes you were supposed to have. And honestly, you shouldn't be doing 85 miles an hour in a big ass truck pulling lumber like that. It's not easy to stop a truck without heavy lumber on the back. Period. Like I said, it's a touchy subject. I'm interested to hear whatever input anybody has. Once again, please hit the likes, subscribe, check that notification bell. Show your kids, show the boys some support. I'm not only going to cover news and things like this. I got big plans. come, of course, I'm working on them still, so I can't announce them and don't want to shoot myself in the foot, but got a few things that I'd like to do on here. This subject was a big subject. Like it was a big subject in my house. Like I said, my stepfather was a truck driver. My wife and I and my kids, we all spoke about it, and I could see both sides. You know what I mean? I could see both sides. So I would like to. I'm just curious to see what other people think, what other people say. Again, if you have any information I left out, drop it in the comments. If I have to do a follow-up, I'll definitely do a follow-up just so that I can answer whatever questions, or thank you for informing me on the information that I didn't have. You see what I'm saying? Once again, Happy New Year, everyone. Thank you. It's your boy Is1456, and we're gonna get it cracking this year, man. We're gonna have some fun on here.